passion runs so deep, man. So much history, pageantry.
1 week closer to kickoff.
That's the way we answer.
It starts with culture.
It's a mentality, it's a way of life, it's a DNA.
College football free agency. Transfer portal.
The Cinderella story is over, man. Right? They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins.
Say that. Say that again. Coaches only. Players only. Everybody. It's time.
College football is different. They're
of the 12-team playoff.
Boy, fire to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins!
Welcome back for a new college football episode of Bet the Line, brought to you by Robbins Properties. If you're looking for a house, townhome, or apartment to rent or own in the central Iowa area, they are the people that will take care of you. That is Robbins Properties. Before we get started, make sure to click the like button and subscribe and turn on all bell notifications to stay up to date on all things college football. Make sure to follow us on Instagram to see our cards and the Lock of the Week parlay. That is at Bet the Line Podcast. Boys, the talk of the town, Penn State fell to UCLA 42-37. How are we feeling about Penn State? Jake, I'll let you start because you mentioned the last episode about the AP poll. Like, we don't know how good Penn State is. I think maybe some questions were answered last week.
Yeah, I think starting out, I'm just going to say it was pretty tough because my lock was Penn State minus 25.5. So sometimes you just got to say right hand up, that one's on me. Penn State looked awful on both sides of the ball throughout the entire game. Like, I still can't really fathom it. It is kind of crazy. Like, that to me it's the biggest upset I can remember in recent memory. But again, we're only halfway through the season, so Penn State might only finish like 6-6 or 7-5. I don't know. I still think they're a good team, but that game was terrible for Penn State. I'm not really the type of guy who likes to say, James Franklin can't win the big one, but I think he might be the exception where I don't think James Franklin will ever win the big one. If you can't win the small one, like UCLA on the road. What was the halftime score? 24-7, 27-7, something like that.
Yeah.
And then you see Penn State come out and start to cut into the lead, but on the flip side, credit to UCLA, who I think everybody thought was just deader than dead. Like, they showed some life that we haven't seen all year. They had not led for 1 second of one game the entire season. They got smoked by Utah right off the bat. They got smoked by New Mexico. They've just been losing to everybody. And they looked like a competent football program for 60 minutes on Saturday. Nico Yame-Lava looked like he was what everybody thought he could be. I think probably the biggest story to the game is credit to Jerry Neuheisel, the beloved UCLA Bruin himself. That guy's a UCLA Bruin through and through. For those of you that don't know, he is their new offensive coordinator, and I believe it was last Wednesday when he actually found out that he was calling plays. So he had 2 full days to prepare. Called a beautiful game. Former quarterback for UCLA, so it was an awesome moment for everybody. I don't know if you're Penn State and you want James Franklin out, maybe this loss was for the best.
Well, it makes you wonder, like Northwestern this week, like how good will they do against? I think they have the same record going into that game. Losing to Oregon, you would think that would be your bounce back game, just like Ohio State last year when they lost to Oregon. They went undefeated the rest of the year. So you figured that'd be your bounce back game, and then you just get completely embarrassed against UCLA. And you let a quarterback run for, he ran for 128 yards, threw for 166.
He had 5 total touchdowns.
Yeah. Defense caused three fumbles, all against wide receivers. And also, like James Franklin, this is the first team that is in the top 10 to lose to an 0-4 team since 1985. So, take it how you want. You got to wonder what the game plan and the practice was all week going into that game, because it was not there.
It's almost like
Penn State circles like 2 to 3 games on their calendar every year because they win the games they're supposed to and they lose the games they're supposed to. And realistically, outside of they may have they may have Ohio State and Oregon scheduled. So realistically, year in, year out, they're projected to lose like 2 games maybe. So it's almost like they circle those games because they know they're going to get by the rest of their schedule. And if they can pull off one of those wins that they're projected to lose in, then they can finally be in discussions of a top team. But I don't know. I think the tides are turning, which doesn't make sense because this is the same, if not better team than last year. And Penn State was a national semifinal team last year. So I don't know. I think you got to look at the coaching and
For sure. New defensive coordinator, and the defense hasn't been there.
yeah.
Yeah, Jim Knowles, who's the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country, too. I think that's the other thing, like, I wanted to touch on is you just said it. Like, Penn State, on paper, should have a great defense. They have the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country. But I want to give credit to UCLA for being 0-4 and just getting smoked in every game so far this season. Like, it would be so easy to just throw in the towel. Like, our head coach already got fired. Got an interim coach. Like, we just got smoked by New Mexico. Life's not great. But they didn't. And they went out there, and every time Penn State would cut the deficit and make it a close game, like UCLA's offense would just strike again.
You got to give prop to Nico, too. I don't know if you guys saw, but before the game, he had like a team meeting or something with all the players, and he said, if you don't want to be here, then get the fuck out.
I saw that.
Yeah, as a leader, like 0-4, you transferred over there. People were talking down on you, saying that you made a big mistake, and to say that and then go out and do what you did and back it up, big time game move.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If I know Penn State still has at Iowa, at Ohio State. Don't get me wrong. Penn State can still find a way to finish 10-2 and make the playoffs, but it is very, very unfavorable for them to do so.
Yeah.
Florida isn't dead, Q. You talked about it last episode, how I think you were one of the few that, maybe the only one, that was in on Florida. I know Clayton
One.
Yeah, Clayton and I were kind of making fun of you, but they upset Texas 29-21. How are we feeling?
I think this is the first step because you know what their schedule still is. Even this week they have top 5 game again against Texas A&M at Texas A&M. So I think this is the first step. But, this is exactly what you needed. You need to basically win out. If you want a shot at the playoffs, I don't think a 9-3 team can get in, but with their schedule, they may if they win out. But I think this was once again saved Billy Napier's career. I saw a post and it said DJ Lagway and Billy Napier when their job is on the line, and it was a picture of Nick Saban and Tua Tagovailoa from when they won the national championship. But it almost feels like Billy digs himself a hole, somehow climbs out of it for a couple games, and then goes right back in and then climbs out. So I don't know. I'm interested to see if this is Florida football clicking and turning the page, or if it's just another random game that Billy saves his job and it's going to basically turn into the same conversation next week after they get blown out by Texas A&M. So I don't know. I would like to see them continue the success, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
I talked at the beginning of the year, I think in our first episode, about Jordan Baugh and how Florida fans need to, start to notice this guy because he's going to be a big time player for him. And he got whatever he wanted on the ground in that game. Ran the ball for 27 times for 107 yards with 3 catches as well. He was a difference maker in that game for me. I will say the defense for Florida causing 2 interceptions against Arch is big time. We all knew that the defense would be there. Florida's defense has been there all year. It's just offense. They finally got that figured out. I'm not going to overreact on this win, though, for Florida. It's a big win for them. But also, at the same time, I don't know how good Texas is. For Texas, they're in a weird situation. If he plays terrible, you with the NIL money that you dropped on him, you feel like you have to still start him.
It's so interesting. Like, I feel like I'm the last person that, like, I don't overreact to things, and I was maybe one of the only people who after week one was like, I don't know why we're just writing off Arch Manning right now. I think I can confidently say after 6 weeks of college football that Arch Manning might suck. I think that, to be fair, is at this moment. Like, I'm not saying he can't be good, but based on like an actual, time frame of watching him play across multiple games, I think Arch Manning has not been good. I also, on the Florida side, like, yes, Billy Napier saved his job. And honestly, Florida has all the talent in the world, and they always have. But like, as long as Billy Napier's there, I feel like we're still going to see an undisciplined Florida team, like in crucial moments. Like, you look at the South Florida game, an unsportsmanlike conduct is the reason that South Florida was able to, get a first down and win the game. And like, you see that across the history of Florida football. So I do think the talent's there, but I don't see any world where Florida is better than 7-5. Which maybe that is enough for Billy to keep his job, but their schedule is insane.
I think 7-5 gets it done, sadly, for Florida fans.
Yeah.
Moving on here. Miami handles business at Florida State 28-22. Q, going back to you, you had Carson Beck at the beginning as a preseason Heisman favorite. How are we feeling about Miami and Carson Beck?
I'm not going to lie. I think with the way Texas and Penn State is shaping out, I think you could argue that Miami has the best strength of schedule and is arguably the best team in the country. Just with Penn State, Oregon played at Penn State, beat them. Penn State's now 3-2 unranked. Ohio State's best win is Texas. Texas now 3-2 unranked. So, you can argue Miami's the best team in the nation. And I wouldn't really have any evidence to dispute that. But I'm very, very impressed with Carson Beck's maturation. I think that is what I am impressed with the most. Still kind of makes some ill-advised throws, but you can tell he's learning from it and not just, we saw it multiple times last year in the Ole Miss game. He was laughing on the sidelines down 18. And I'm like, dude, your season is over and you're laughing basically. So I think moving to Miami was the right move for him. And Miami's defense is just insane. Miami's defense is unreal. I completely forgot about them. Last episode, I said you could argue Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, LSU, top defense. I think Miami's up there. Completely forgot about them. I think this Miami team is going to make a deep run in the playoffs.
But they win the trenches in every aspect.
Their D-line is insane.
Yeah. I think what was interesting too, so if you remember Florida State's opening drive, like, they were driving down the field, and I was like, all right, like, Florida State, this is going to be a battle all game. And I think it was either turnover on downs or they kicked a field goal, and then Miami just dominated from that point forward. And then obviously at the end of the game, Florida State made the score look prettier than it was, but like, it was 28-3. And then Florida State scored 19 points at the end of the game. But like, Miami is insane watching them play. Like, again, to me, it kind of goes back to like what I was talking about watching Iowa State last week, and then also watching Georgia, Bama, and Oregon, Penn State. Like, Miami just looks like they're playing a different game right now. They just have speed everywhere. Their trenches are insane. Carson Beck has a ton of weapons on offense. Like, Miami, Q, you touched on it. Like, I think if anybody were to tell me right now Miami's the best team in the country, I wouldn't argue it. I do think they have the best resume, 100%.
I'm with you on that. And looking at their remaining schedule, their toughest game left is SMU, at SMU. So, like, picking up on what Q said with them, being the 1 seed, probably will happen. They will probably go undefeated. And I think an undefeated Miami team gets the 1 seed.
Yeah.
They just have so many ways to win.
I mean, especially with how the SEC or the SEC, the ACC is shaping out with Clemson. SMU's not really that good. Duke's making a run, but I mean, it's clear cut Miami for me until anybody proves me wrong. It's clear cut Miami.
Carson Beck, he's making a strong name for the Heisman race. Like, I think he's sitting second right now at like plus 600, I believe, and has deserved that. So, Miami, I agree with both of you guys. They are probably, in my eyes, the best team in the country. Moving on here, the one-man show, the only guy that didn't sell stock on Bama, Jake. Bama takes care of Vanderbilt at home, 30-14. How we feeling?
Feeling good, man. I feel like Bama's getting back to that point where, if you remember under Saban, there was a time where like opposing teams, you would just line up across from them. You'd see them walk out on the field, and there would just be fear deep in your heart. Like, you knew we're about to just get annihilated for 60 minutes. And I feel like Bama is slowly getting back to that aura that they once had. And I think for me, I think the game probably helped because it was Vanderbilt and they lost to them last year. But when you have a huge win on the road at Georgia, like, that's a very emotional win that it'd be very easy to just, sleepwalk through practice next week and then just once again show up and lose. And they didn't do that this time around. Want to do a quick shout out to Caden Proctor, who's now caught a pass and ran for a first down in the last 2 games. That's just a hoss of a man. Former 2-time Iowa commit. Sorry to the Iowa fans out there. But I think the other thing too, though, I can talk about Bama all day. Ty Simpson is a guy who's firmly put himself in the Heisman race. Ryan Grubb has been the perfect addition that Kalen DeBoer needed on his coaching staff. Like, there's so many good things that Bama has shown us since that Florida State loss. But I do think it's important that, like, I do want to talk about Vanderbilt and the fact that it's no longer talking about Vanderbilt like we once did. Like, this is just a legitimately good team. The score of that game truly was 23-14. Like, it was a battle. And, Bama had like a 30-yard rushing touchdown on 4th and 1 with 26 seconds left.
And it was tied at half, too.
I was about to say that. Yeah.
Right. So, like, it was a good game. Vanderbilt showed that they can compete. Are they quite there in the Alabama territory? No. But they're a good team. I think you could throw them in that second tier of teams, like what Missouri has been in the SEC for the last decade. You could, what South Carolina was last year. I think they're firmly in that tier for sure.
And for Ty Simpson, I know you talked about him, how he's put himself as like in the Heisman race. The dude just keeps continuing to ball out. 340 yards passing, and his connection with Ryan Williams is growing week by week. So he's only going to get better.
Have you guys seen that SEC documentary on Netflix? So I watched the episode last night and Vanderbilt was on it. And one of Diego's first words on it was, he was like, Diego Pavia, blah, 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 blah. And then he was like, I'm going to be the best to ever walk the earth. And I was like, wow, okay, let's see how this episode goes, because that's a crazy statement to start a documentary off with. I have respect for him because the dude believes in himself like nobody I have ever seen. He truly thinks that there's not a game that he can't win. And he said that. He said, why are we walking in here thinking that we're going to lose? Like, I know I can win. And he plays every single game like that. Like, no matter if it's against Bama or if it's a rematch against Georgia Southern this year, like, the dude can ball and the dude is a great quarterback. Like, at the end of the episode, I'm like, okay, he has my respect, even though he's very, very arrogant. But he's arrogant because he believes in himself and he truly believes that he can win any game and he plays like it. But like you said it, Jake, Vanderbilt's no longer the laughingstock of not only the SEC of football. Like, this is a legitimately good team.
Right.
Be good for a while too. The coaching staff they have over there is pretty solid. Oh, sorry. I'll edit that part out. My
All good, buddy.
iPad's dead, so I'm doing this off my phone. Other scores from around the country in the top 25 teams here. We got BYU defeats West Virginia 38-24. Ohio State shuts down Minnesota 42-3. Oklahoma wins 44-0 over Kent State without John Mateer. Texas A&M defeats Mississippi State 31-9 to cover the spread there. Georgia cruises past Kentucky 35-14. Iowa State falls at Cincinnati 38-30. That secondary missing piece could be a problem for them now. Michigan defeats Wisconsin 24-10. Backdoor cover for Wisconsin, which made Q's locks 0-6 now. Notre Dame.
Thanks for throwing that in.
Yep. Notre Dame defeats Boise State 28-7. Illinois defeats Purdue 43-27, and then Virginia outlets Louisville in overtime 30-27. You guys have any thoughts on any of these games? I thought it was impressive to see Wisconsin finally be able to put up points. I mean, 10 points, but that's a lot for them on this year. And their first drive, touchdown first drive. So
you didn't mention it. That's okay. But I did just want to give a shout out to our armed forces. Air Force and Navy was a phenomenal football game this past weekend. 34-31. Just another classic battle between our airmen and our watermen.
Navy didn't cover.
Our seamen. Shout out them troops.
I had Navy covered.
I mean, throw the record books out the window when it's our armed forces playing, you know?
How are we feeling, you two, with Iowa State?
Feeling fine.
About the same.
Cincinnati's a solid team. I think the thing that was tough was Iowa State had about 100 opportunities to still win that game, even after going down. Like, it was insane. It was bad. But it did suck, you know, especially because, I don't know, maybe I'm one of the only people, but like the 3-3-5 back when Baker Mayfield was still in college was a really cool defense because nobody was running it, and it like worked. And then we continue to run it against teams that can run the ball. So I'm pretty sure Cincinnati had like 200 yards rushing at halftime. And it's like, for the love of God, can we like actually try and defend the run now? I mean, do the math. 5 versus 3.
Yeah. And significantly more than 3, yeah.
It is. I still feel good, though. I do think the important thing is get the win this week against Colorado and get into the bye week.
Right.
Q? They're just so depleted right now.
Texas A&M, your SEC darlings, they cover the spread against Mississippi State. Mississippi State's a kind of a scary team this year. How are you feeling?
I was surprised that they covered the spread, I'm not going to lie. But I think that just shows that this is a completely different Texas A&M team. I'm really impressed with Marcel Reed. He has yet to prove me wrong about anything, about being a true freshman last year. But, yeah, I mean, they're in prime position to win the SEC with how it's shaping up. So
Mississippi State, I believe, got on the board first in that game too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good cover.
Moving on. Players that shine, fellas. Mike, you want to start us off?
I will. The player that shined, Baron Morton, quarterback for Texas Tech, threw for 345 yards and a touchdown in the game. In the first half alone, he completed 17 of 27 attempts for 261 yards. Dude is balling out. You know, one of the highlights of that game was when he had heavy pressure coming his way, and he just did a little dump-off pass to the running back, Cameron Hickey, that ended up going for a 69-yard touchdown. So 0 interceptions on the game as well. keeps balling out, Texas Tech's going to be a problem.
Sure. We're going to stick with Texas Tech here for my player that shined. I think it's really easy to always take a quarterback because in today's game, quarterbacks just put up ridiculous numbers that have become so normalized. So I think from here on out, I'm going to go with a defensive player just to give some shine to the defensive side of the ball. So I got David Bailey, edge, also from Texas Tech. In Texas Tech's 35-11 win over Houston, he had 11 pressures, 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble. Oil money.
Dude, their defense is nuts.
I chose Cade Klubnik for mine. Went with the quarterback route, but he actually looked like he was having fun playing football again. He had 4 touchdowns, 2 incompletions, and 250 yards. So, shout out Cade Klubnik. I hope he continues this for the rest of the season. But I don't know. But he played an amazing game, first amazing game of the season.
It finally looked like he found himself.
Moving on to teams that shined. I chose Virginia. They had a sneaky win in overtime against Louisville. Biggest note here was no hangover win from their first top 10 team in over a decade, or top 10 win in over a decade. So no hangover win. They were up 10 in the third. Didn't score again until overtime. Found themselves trailing in overtime, but pulled it off at Louisville too. And Louisville is a decent team.
Yeah.
So
I thought Louisville was going to win that game, to be quite honest with you.
They were favored by like 6.5.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I think I had them in one of my parlays.
Yep. My team that shined, this is really a team to me that's shined for more than anybody else in college football this season. We touched on them, but the Miami Hurricanes, truly, I think they're the most complete team in college football right now. Offense, defense, special teams, and they have the best resume. It's pretty easy. It's common where a lot of teams kind of just play cupcake non-conference schedule, Penn State, for example. And so for Miami to play, Florida, Notre Dame, South Florida, don't remember the other team that they played in the non-conference, but, to play those teams and then to play Florida State already in ACC play, I mean, you've played all of your toughest games of the season so far, and you have not run from competition. So they're battle-tested. They're elite on both sides of the ball. To me, I think they're the team that's shown the most in college football this year.
My team that shined here is Cincinnati. After that Kansas win, I didn't respect them a whole lot. I felt like Kansas gave that win to them. But going into this game, they rushed for a season high 260 yards. They came out with urgency, had a 31-7 lead before halftime. They scored on all 5 of their first half possessions. Their ability to execute in late stages and not panicking and making the stops showed me a lot, and a lot of respect for the Cincinnati team.
I didn't realize, and I watched the entire game, I didn't realize that Cincinnati's only first down in the second half was their 82-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. That was their only first down in the second half, yeah. I mean, Jake's right. Iowa State had 100 chances to win that game.
Right.
But I didn't realize that. I was like, wow, how did they not?
I think the other thing that was crazy about that game, just to touch on it, is like Cincinnati fans on Twitter were just, oh my God, the refs are screwing us. The refs are screwing us. And they did have a lot of penalties, but like every play legitimately was a penalty. Like they're running RPO plays, and every single play there's a lineman 5 to 10 yards down the field.
Yeah.
I'm like, tell me which penalty you disagreed with. Let's have a conversation.
That's what I was thinking too, because it's not like they're calling pass interferences where it's like subjective to the ref that's calling it. It's like there's an illegal formation. That's easy to call. There's a guy 10 yards downfield on an RPO. That's easy to call. Like they would even review it, and the announcers would be like, "Oh yeah, well that's a penalty." Like, yeah, they're calling actual stuff.
Iowa
Like,
State has
all of
some
those
costly penalties too.
They
Yeah.
do. Yeah, credit to Cincinnati, though. They are a good team. Much better than I thought they were going to be.
We'll go into the updated top 25 rankings here. Boys, let me go over them, and then we can talk at the end. There's a lot of movement this week. So we have Ohio State remaining at number 1. Miami is number 2. Oregon, 3. Number 4, Ole Miss. Number 5, Texas A&M. Number 6, Oklahoma. Number 7, Indiana. Number 8, Alabama. Number 9, Texas Tech. Number 10, Georgia. Number 11, LSU. Number 12, Tennessee. This is where you start to see the movement right here. We have Georgia Tech at 13. They bumped up 4 spots. They're at 13. Missouri's at 14. They bumped up 5 spots. Michigan at 15. They bumped up 5 spots. Notre Dame at 16. Starting to climb the ladder there. They're up 5 spots. Illinois at 17. BYU jumped up 5 spots. They're up to 18. Virginia, again, 5 spots. They went up. They are up to 19. Then you have Vanderbilt at 20. Arizona State at 21. Iowa State drops back 8 spots down to 22. Memphis, 23. USF, 24. And Florida State down 7 spots to 25. Q, I know you're a big advocate on Florida State being ranked way too high. I think it was finally proven last week that they aren't that top tier team that they had them at. How are we feeling about that?
I mean, yeah, I kind of called it. I don't want to. I'll kind of eat my words and say that they beat a mediocre Bama team. I don't think Bama's mediocre anymore. I will say that, but I don't. The only thing I disagree with is I think Cincinnati should be where Florida State is, because I don't get how Cincinnati's unranked, but Iowa State still is, and I think Florida State at 3-2. I don't think they should be ranked.
Yeah,
but
Cincinnati
I would
did
like to
receive
see Cincinnati
129 votes.
Yeah, I think they're like the next team to be ranked or something like that. So, but I don't know. It's not a bad ranking for week 6, I guess, though.
Jake, any thoughts on the top 25 here?
For the most part, I think I agree with it. I'm happy to see that the AP voters did get it right and didn't continue to rank Texas and Penn State after, Texas' biggest win is Sam Houston State, and Clemson or Penn State's is what, Villanova.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, like I was, I knew Iowa State was going to drop, and I'm like, they're going to find a way to rank both of these guys in the top 25. But yeah, your preseason 1 and 2 are not ranked. So it's already been a crazy year. I think Texas Tech is probably the team that I think is the most lowest ranked right now. And I think people are scared to talk about it because it's a Big 12 team. And, in the playoff era, I'm sure every year they're going to say the Big 12 sucks and they should only get 1 team in. But Texas Tech is not just Big 12 good. Texas Tech is legitimately good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said that last week. Like, their defense can play with anybody in the country.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? They bought their team, and so be it. Like, that's the era that we live in. So if you have that kind of money, credit to you.
But it's cool, like, with this era, like, you see Texas Tech doing what they did, and then you have Miami doing what they're doing. There's 20 new players on Miami's roster right now. So it works. Take notes, Dabo.
He never will. He'll never take notes. Too old school.
I have a take about Clemson, but we're going to save that for one more week. Boys, I'll just tell you right now, you watch out. They may backdoor their way in the playoff if they play their cards.
Shut up, dude.
I'm just saying, think about last year. All they need is
They have 2 conference losses, though.
so does Florida State.
Yeah, but are you banking that they still make the ACC championship game?
No, but I'm saying that it's the ACC, so Miami's the only team I'm confident in. So all I'm saying is at the end of the season, when there's a 4-way tie with 4 6-2 teams in the ACC, and Clemson's one of them, and Clemson plays in the ACC championship, they're gonna upset Miami. If that scenario happened, I think that they would upset Miami, and you'd find them in the playoff as a 12 seed.
That's crazy.
Problem is,
dude, if you call that right now and it happens, that's
But
crazy.
I'm just saying, like, if they somehow sneak into the ACC championship, which they could, all you need is Georgia Tech and Virginia and a couple other teams to finish with 2 losses. You just need to be there at the end of the season.
Georgia Tech would need
Clemson
3.
could win out. They have the talent. I don't know why they can't put it together, but they do have the talent.
Georgia Tech would need 3
I think
losses.
they did put
right?
it together, though, too.
Because they would have
Georgia
the tie.
what?
Georgia Tech would need 3 because they would have the tiebreaker over Clemson, correct?
Yeah, except when 4 teams get involved, it's different. So if it was just Clemson,
Yep, that is
so
true.
like think of last year with Iowa State getting in.
Dude, I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it.
That's all I'm saying, dude. Next thing you know, it's going to be November, and Clemson's going to be 8-3, ranked 24th. You're going to be like, wait a minute, is Dabo going to do it? And then Dabo's going to run circles around everybody because that's the new Clemson standard.
That'd be
It's
wild.
sneaking the playoff.
Happened last year. Can happen again.
Yep. That being said, fellas, we don't talk about them too much. Be a good time to give a few updates on the group of 5 because somebody is getting that playoff spot this year. Mike, you're a pretty passionate, well-known group of 5 guy, big Mountain West guy. What are we thinking?
I think it's Tulane or Memphis. Right now, if I had to pick one, I'd probably go Memphis. They have one of the top rushing teams in the country. In multiple games, they've posted over 200 yards rushing performances. They control the clock on the offensive side. Brendan Lewis is a dual threat quarterback who has done a great job on the year for them. And they're outscoring their opponents 243-97 on the year right now. So this team can find ways to win. I've watched it. I'd take Memphis right now to probably take that spot. Tulane's there as well. Tulane has more talent than Memphis, but I think Memphis has the better game plan going into games. You know, they manage the clock. Tulane just loves to run the score up, loves to throw the deep ball. And Memphis will just drain the clock off you. So give me Memphis to make that spot.
I think so. The interesting thing to me is you could legitimately make a case for 5 teams in the American right now. Navy is 5-0, Memphis is 6-0, North Texas is 5-0, South Florida is 4-1, and Tulane's 4-1. But all 5 of those teams are still undefeated in the conference. It'll be interesting. So Friday night, South Florida and North Texas play. But I think that the best group of 5 team resides in the American Conference, but with all of those teams, I wouldn't be shocked if they just all beat each other. And next thing you know, one of them, whoever wins a conference, is 10-3, and then you have a James Madison team who's 12-1 or 13-0.
Right. Well, the interesting thing is, you know, South Florida with their resume early in the year getting those big wins, like if you listen to any like reporter or like College Game Day or anybody, hear them talk about it, they don't take South Florida. They both go with Tulane, Memphis, and that's about it. You never hear South Florida in talks, which I find interesting because they have the better resume currently.
Yeah.
I do think, you know, for those listeners out there that don't dive too deep, you know, the American is probably the easy conference to go with. You know, on the preview show that we did before the season started, you had UNLV, who's still very much in the mix. They're 5-0. Boise State hasn't lost in conference. They do have a loss to, you know, South Florida and Notre Dame, but you'd argue they might still be in the mix. But I do think the one sleeper team that probably nobody's talking about if you don't know would be James Madison. And I think James Madison, to me, just has the easy path of they're in a weaker conference where, they could very easily go 13-0 and get the bid because the American Conference, everybody finished 9-3.
Yeah. Well, Tulane, they have a tough game this week. They have East Carolina coming to town. I think that's a Thursday night game as well. So we're going to see what Tulane's made of. They could have a loss going into next week.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be interesting because we could potentially see multiple undefeated group of 5 teams make a playoff push. And then how's the committee going to determine that? Someone's probably going to be undefeated and be left out. So that'll be interesting to see.
Somebody's got to play in the Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah. And probably lose by 50, but they got to do it.
We jump into week 7, fellas.
Let's do it.
Got a great slate this week. Like I said, last week, maybe not the greatest slate on paper, but we are fully back this week, gentlemen. We start out Fox, big noon kickoff. A little promo for you there, Clat. The Ohio State University, the number 1 team in the country, travel to Champaign, Illinois. Perfect record on the line. They got the number 1 scoring defense in the country. Interesting little stat for you guys, but they've allowed 25 points through 5 games. No one scored more than 9 on them this season. The one team that did score more than 9, or the one team that did score 9 on them?
Ohio.
In-state rival, the Ohio Bobcats, and I just wish Clayton was here to hear me say that. Julian Sand in the offense, they've definitely come alive in recent weeks, starting to gather some chemistry, starting to look more electric. We saw the Texas game early in the year where they were perfectly comfortable with just their defense winning them the game. They didn't ask a whole lot of the offense where, the last few weeks, like I said, they've really started to come alive and come along. Illinois, 4-1. Terrible loss on the year to Indiana, 63-10, but I still think they're a good team, and like good teams do, they bounce back after that loss. They got a big win against USC, and then they went into the bye week. To me, this is the game where there were a lot of expectations on Illinois preseason. They were preseason number 12. I thought it was a little high, but if you're an Illinois fan, if you're in the program, this is a win where it's asking a lot to beat the number 1 team, right? But if you're ever going to get out of tier 2 and get yourself into that next echelon of Big Ten teams, you win this game. You get this upset. Luke Altmaier, everybody talks about Luke Altmaier, 3rd year starting, been in the program for a while, seeing the downs. Now he's on the ups with them. They got Hank Beatty. They do a little running back by committee. Again, I wish Clayton was here because I was going to finish this by asking him if this is a trap game for his Buckeyes. Ohio State's currently favored minus 14.5, over under 49.5. Q, I'm going to let you go first because at least I'm talking to one Summers brother about the Ohio State University.
I think this whole game is going to be a tale of when is Illinois going to score. And I think they're going to take a lot more risks in this game, given how good Ohio State's defense is. I think I'm not going to say Ohio State is going to get theirs with ease. I think Illinois has a pretty solid defense. I think that Indiana game was an exception. I would lean Illinois to cover. I think Illinois is going to dump the playbook. They realize this is the biggest game of the year. They realize that this could potentially set them up for a Big Ten championship berth, given that Ohio State would have 1 loss. I don't know. I just think I think my eyes are going to be more on Illinois' offense. I know Ohio State's defense is going to be there. I know Ohio State's offense is going to be there. But can Illinois score more than 10 points? That's going to be the biggest question for me. And it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. I think they're going to pass up on field goals. I think they're going to go for it on 4th down in their territory. So it's going to be interesting to see what their game plan is with the best defense in the nation. But I would lean Illinois to cover. I just think they're going to throw everything they can. I think Ohio State wins. I think it'll be by 10. But, 14.5 is a big spread. I'll take Illinois.
You talked about Illinois needing to put up 10 points. I think they're going to have to put up more. I don't see a way where Illinois can cover this game. I truly don't. You talked about it, Jake, how Ohio State's defense is so elite. They've, only allowed 25 points total through 5 games. They've also never have allowed a touchdown in the red zone this year. It's a defensive battle here. I think Illinois' defense is more of a liability. They've been vulnerable of giving up the big plays. What does Ohio State do? They can go with the big plays. So yeah, I love Ohio State here to cover.
I think this line is just so tough. Like 14.5. If it was 13.5, I would tell you Ohio State for sure. But that's a tough number. I could see this being a repeat of the Texas game and the fact of, like, once again, it's a tough road environment. A lot of eyes are going to be on this game. And I could see Ryan Day just saying, you know what Julian's saying? Like, we just need you to drive the boat. We have the best defense in the country. We're not going to ask you to do much. So, like, I could see where Ohio State just wins this game. Something in my mind just keeps telling me, like, 21-7. Like, they're not going to need to do too much on offense because their defense is just going to win the game for them. They're going to set them up for good field position. They're going to force turnovers. I don't think that this is a game where Ohio State necessarily destroys them because, again, I just don't think that they need to. I don't know. I think because it's 14.5, I'd probably take Illinois. I think Ohio State probably wins by like 14. So
I could see
that's
that.
a tough spread. Moving on. Got Alabama at Missouri. Another very intriguing top 25 matchup. My red-hot Alabama Crimson Tide, led by head coach Kalen DeBoer. QB Ty Simpson, offensive lineman / running back / wide receiver Caden Proctor. Travel on the road to take on 5-0 Missouri. We've talked about Bama quite a bit on this podcast this year, but to me, it really seems like they've righted the ship since the Week 1 loss to Florida State. They've been trending in the right direction, rattled off a couple of huge wins back-to-back against ranked opponents. And like we said, Ty Simpson's now firmly in the Heisman mix. The flip side, Missouri enters 5-0. Bo Prabula's having a great season. But really the strength of this team is their rushing game. I remember mentioning this name, I think, going into the Kansas game, Mike, but their ground game is led by Louisiana Monroe transfer Ahmad Hardy. If you don't know him, you should. He leads the nation in rushing. He's got 730 yards on the year. And I think specifically in this game, Bama's run defense is probably their weakness on the team. And as I just noted, that's Missouri's strength. So I see that as Missouri's biggest advantage is rushing the ball. But again, I think you could say Bama is the more battle-tested team to date. Very similar to the Ohio State-Illinois game to me. This game for Missouri is the same as that game is to Illinois. Like, Missouri's always 9-3. They're always in the mix, 9-3, 10-2. They're always in that second tier of the SEC. If you're ever going to take a step, this is when you start. This is what separates you from previous teams that go 10-2 and make a good bowl game. Like, this is, you win this game and you're sitting pretty. And they do have a favorable schedule going down the line. And just one more thing to add on is that the SEC this year is as wide open as any year, at least in the last 10, 15 years. So if not now, when? That being said, Missouri +3 over under 51.5. Mike, where are we leaning?
There's just something about the name Ty in college football. Something about the name Ty. You guys know where I'm going here?
T.Y. Hilton?
Ty Simpson is better than Bo Prabula. Give me Alabama. I think Alabama's running on all cylinders right now. They have something figured out. Truthfully, I think the spread plus 6.5 for Missouri is what I think it should be. So, yeah, I love Alabama in this game. Missouri kind of struggled with Kansas. You put Kansas and Alabama together, Alabama is way better than Kansas. So, yeah, give me Alabama here.
I have said, if not now, too many times, and I've been wrong every single time. So I'm gonna lean Bama here to cover the spread. I think if you can go into Georgia and win, and not have a hangover win and handedly beat a good Vanderbilt team, I don't see any signs of them slowing down, especially not with an 11 a.m. game at Missouri. Not that rowdy of a SEC environment. I think they go in there and I think they get it done. I'm going to take Bama with the spread because I've taken the underdog too many times and lost. So I'm going to take Bama.
I just feel like Alabama has found themselves as a team. They have an identity now.
I think so too. As our resident Bama fan, I got to stick with my Tide. They're just clicking. Maybe that Florida State loss was good for them. I don't know. But
clearly,
I like Bama. Moving on. Got a top 10 matchup this weekend. I truly wish that we could end with this one. But unfortunately, there's a rivalry game this week that I want to finish with. So we head to Eugene, Oregon, boys. Where the number 7 Indiana Hoosiers travel to take on the number 3 Oregon Ducks. When they announced conference realignment a couple years ago, I never thought that those words would have come out of my mouth, that Indiana's going to Oregon and it's going to be a top 10 matchup. But nonetheless, here we are, fellas. Each team enters 5-0. Each team is led by a star quarterback. Each team has a great head coach. There's a lot that could be said about each team. We talk about Ty Simpson in the Heisman race. I think you could argue that both Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore are just right there as well, right in the thick of things. And they're both operating with incredible efficiency. So combined, they each have 30 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. So very efficient, don't turn the ball over, very explosive offenses. And same thing on the defensive side of the ball. Each team has shown that they can play great defense this year. Here's a little stat for you guys. This is the first Big Ten matchup between 2 5-0 teams or better with a plus 30 point per game differential or higher since the infamous 1904 clash between Northwestern and Chicago.
Wow.
We all remember that one. It's on VHS.
Northwestern and Chicago, that's like a 5-mile rivalry right there.
It is, and I have no idea if that's now Loyola Chicago. I don't know if that college just doesn't exist. I have no idea, but that's a stat for you. Wow. Indiana's plus 7.5, over and under 55.5. Q, take us away.
Fun fact, the last time Mendoza played Oregon was at Cal. He lost 63-17. So obviously he was on a way worse team, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Let's be careful how we're talking about my Cal Golden Bears.
Dude, they're so bad.
Told you, dude.
So bad.
I
They're
told
not
you,
even
man.
close to being good, dude.
Hey, we're two games away from bowl eligibility. So
Anyways, I think it's gonna be. I'm not just saying this. I think it's gonna be a blowout, whether that is in the first half or in the second half. I don't see. I think the skill gap is far greater between these two teams than we think. I mean, Indiana's a good team. Are they a top 10 team? I wouldn't go as far and say that. I mean, yeah, they beat Illinois by 53. I don't think Illinois is a top 10 team. I don't think they deserve to be, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I think it'll be good. I think the game will be won in the trenches. I think if we get Mendoza flustered, And I think for him to be injury, or I think for him to have a game to be turnover prone, I think it's going to be here. And I've mentioned this to you guys before, and it's kind of a weird stat, but Dan Lanning is 34-0 when holding teams to less than 34 points. And yeah, that's a weird stat, but find me another coach that you have to score at least 5 touchdowns to beat, like I don't think there's another coach that you have to do that to. So that's kind of a weird stat, but I don't know. And I think we'll know what we get from Oregon's offense. I'm going to be watching our defense for sure. But I think it'll be a fun game. I think it'll be high scoring too.
Yeah, I think for sure it'll be a high scoring game. For Indiana, they put up points against I think we can all agree, a pretty good defense with Illinois. Not saying that Oregon's defense is Illinois caliber. I think they're a little better than Illinois. But to put up that many points, I do think Indiana will be able to hang in there with Oregon. I'm not going to say they'll win. I think it's going to be close going into the fourth quarter. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Mendoza, maybe a game-tying drive or a game-winning drive, and he's going to make a mistake, kind of like Drew Aller did in the Penn State-Oregon game. Give me Oregon to win, but Indiana to cover. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what you think, Q.
I'm hoping for a shootout. I just want to see like a 49-42 type of game here. Nothing would make me happier. I want to close with this. If you guys aren't familiar with Kurt Signetti, Google him. He wins games. Give me Indiana plus 7.5.
I just feel like you're getting that. That's such a good number. You would think it'd be like 6.5, and they're giving you the extra point there. You got to take it.
You got to take it before it doesn't exist anymore in 2 days.
I would like to note both teams are coming off of buys, so we'll probably get the best versions of both teams, which is going to be really fun to watch. But
you're going to see rest on Indiana's side versus rust on Oregon's side.
Yeah, it did happen last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, just always living in the past. That has to be exhausting, dude.
All right, we're going to move on. We're going to close with the Red River rivalry, fellas. To me, top 5 rivalry in college football. I also love that it doesn't wait until the end of the season, and it's not during rivalry week. Second week of October, I believe it's at the Texas State Fair, neutral site game for each team. We kind of touched on it earlier, but you have a Texas team that's just been struggling. They have not gotten anything going on offense. Arch doesn't look great. One thing that's probably not talked about is I also don't think Steve Sarkisian has called great plays either. If you watch the games I've seen, I don't know how many 3rd and 10 QB draws that have been called, which it's, feel like that's basically just saying like, hey, we're going to send the defense out and hopefully we get a stop and we'll do it again on our next possession. But that's the thing. That's kind of the one thing Texas has going for them right now is I do still think that they have a very strong defense. But yeah, you can only do so much when your offense is sending you back out there the entire game. Preseason number 1, falling out of the top 25. This game looked a lot better before the season started, I guess you could say. OU side, things have been great for OU. Entering 5-0. Life's been great. It seemed like John Mateer was the missing piece, if you will, that they needed, and he's been awesome for them. Already gotten him a couple signature wins with Michigan and Auburn. Unfortunately, did have surgery on his throwing hand after that Auburn win. From the sounds of things, it did sound like that was timed how they wanted to do it. They knew he needed to have it. And so they did it after the Auburn game. You got a bye week. You got Kent State, and then it's Red River. Still don't know if he's going to play or not. So if he doesn't, You got Michael Hawkins Jr. that's going to start for him, which, at least in his case, he has experience. He played in games last year when they benched Jackson Arnold, specifically this game. Didn't play well, but he's played in a Red River shootout before. And he played against Kent State last week. So it's not like you're just throwing someone to the wolves immediately. They have a guy who's at least been on the field before. John Mateer might still play. I don't know. We'll see. As of right now, it's Michael Hawkins Jr. That said, it seems like in the past, this has always been a really high-scoring game. It's always been fun for the most part. You always see 45-35, 48-45, scores like that. Don't know if that's the case this year. That being said, right now, the spread is Oklahoma plus 1.5. The over-under is 43.5. Mike, what are we thinking?
I love the under here, and I love Oklahoma, whether Mateer starts or doesn't start. I think we saw Texas last week. They struggled against Florida's defense. Oklahoma has a great defense as well. They're just as good. Arch Manning's struggling. I think. I just don't know if he has it. Maybe next year. This year, I just don't. I don't think he has it. Like you said, the coaching calls hasn't been that great this year either. Oklahoma, they can put up points with Michael Hawkins Jr. or John Mateer here. You got the defense, like I said. Yeah, love Oklahoma here, whether he starts or not. I will say, if you are going to bet on this game and you want the spread low, bet on it early in case John Mateer does play, because that spread is going to go up if he is announced that he's playing.
I also lean Oklahoma regardless of quarterback position. I don't think Texas will score more than 14 points against that defense. I kind of want to see a shootout though. Just get back to the roots. Just get back to the old days. Excuse me. I would say the old days with Dylan Gabriel at the helm of Oklahoma football. But yeah, I got
Yikes.
I got Oklahoma winning this one, regardless of who's at quarterback.
I think I agree. I like Oklahoma in this one, regardless of quarterback. We haven't seen anything from Texas this year to make me think that they're going to win this game, especially when offensively they're terrible and defensively that's been the one constant across Brent Venables' teams, is that they play defense. So I like Oklahoma here as well. Be pretty sick if it was a shootout though, but I just don't see Texas holding up their end of the bargain. That being said, other notable games around the country. Huge group of 5 game this Friday night, fellas. Got the University of South Florida traveling to take on North Texas. All eyes are going to be on that game Friday night. On Saturday, we got my past versus my present, a.k.a. the Iowa State Cyclones against the Colorado Buffaloes. I don't know if that's actually going to be a good game or not. Colorado might be dead. We'll see. We got Nebraska, Maryland, TCU, K-State, Florida, Texas A&M. See if Florida can keep it going. Iowa, Wisconsin, another little trophy game. Georgia, Auburn, Michigan, USC, Kansas, Texas Tech, BYU, Arizona, and Arizona State, Utah to finish our Saturday nights.
Hey, is Dion coaching? I know he just had that leg blood clot surgery thing. Is he planning on being there?
I have
or no
idea. I don't know.
I think I read something that he's gonna miss no time of coaching, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, you'll probably just see him. Do you remember when he was at Jackson State?
Yeah,
He'd go around on a little tricycle. Probably just gonna bring that back.
The Texas Tech, the Texas Tech Kansas game's quite interesting too.
Kansas, it could be frisky.
We love playing spoiler.
I wouldn't mind seeing a little shootout there, a little classic Big 12 matchup, maybe a little 62-55, huh?
Holy crap! Yeah, that'd be cool. But
Jeez.
that is high.
Oh my
I'm just saying I
gosh.
wouldn't. I'm just saying I wouldn't mind seeing that. I
Yeah, I don't
probably
think
won't
anybody would
happen.
mind seeing that.
No.
That's the 2010 days of Big 12
Yeah.
football right there.
Yeah,
No,
that's
no
classic.
punting.
That's Baylor TCU stuff right there. That's RG3 versus what's his name, Boykin.
Trayvon Boykin, oh, that dude was so fun to watch.
Yeah. Is it time, fellas? Jump into some cards.
Get into
Yeah, I
it.
guess.
Q's excited.
So excited. I actually did
My
pretty
record's
well, but
not updated, but I think I'm 14-16. That sounds right. We're gonna run with that. So far to date, I'm 14-16. Mike is 15-15. Q is 12-18. But I have a feeling we're gonna turn the corner this week, fellas. I just have a gut feeling. With that being said, I will jump into my card. We are going to start out Friday night. I like the Washington Huskies minus 10.5 when Rutgers comes to town. Up next, we got Georgia minus 3.5. They travel to Auburn this weekend. Up next, I got Ohio State, Illinois under 49.5. I mentioned this one earlier. I just see this as a game where Ohio State says we don't need to do a whole lot on offense, try and score on us. And next thing you know, it's a 21-7 final. And then finally, we just touched on the Red River rivalry, but I like Oklahoma plus 1.5. And like Mike said, if they announce John Mateer is going to play, I guarantee that spread moves to about minus 4.5.
Yeah.
So I would jump on it now just based on the fact that I think John Mateer is going to play because it's their biggest game of the season.
Starting up my card, I'm taking Oklahoma as well. To cover, like you just said, if John Mateer does play, it's going to jump on it early, get him at a low point. I would assume he's going to play. My next game here, I have Kansas at Texas Tech. I'm going to take Kansas plus 14.5 here. It's a risky one. I do think we can hang in there. We've hung in there with every team. I know Texas Tech's head coach said that Kansas should be undefeated right now if it wasn't for mistakes. So I do think Kansas is a good team. They can hang in there. My next game, Ohio State at Illinois. Give me Ohio State minus 14.5. Like I said earlier, I don't see how Illinois can hang in there. This Ohio State team just keeps getting better and better by the week. Julian Sand was finally able to air it out last week. I think you're going to see a lot of that this week. Could have been a little practice going into this week, not sure. And then my next game on my card, I'm going to go Washington State at Ole Miss. Give me the over 58.5. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. So, yeah, give me the over there.
I went 4-1 last week, and I didn't elaborate on why I chose these picks, so I'm going to do the same here. I start off my card. I have Oregon minus 7.5 against Indiana. Then, yeah, okay, whatever. I have Oklahoma. I'm not a fan that we all chose this game, but then I have Oklahoma plus 1.5. And then I have UNLV minus 6.5 against Air Force. And then to round off my card, I have Auburn plus 3.5 against Georgia. So that's my card. Okay, whatever. I mean, I'm 2 games behind you in overall record. So,
Hey, Mike, real quick. You said, was it Kansas' coach that said that they would be undefeated right now if they
No,
didn't make
Texas
mistakes?
Tech.
Oh, he said Kansas would be?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Joey McGuire, I got a message for you. A lot of teams would be undefeated right now if they didn't make mistakes, but that's how football works.
It is. After that, we'll just get into lock of the week parlays. Way to ruin my hopes there. Jake
Roger that.
Jake currently sitting at 4-2. Clayton hit both of his locks last week. He had to give us an extra one to catch up. He's sitting at 4-2 as well. I'm sitting at 3-3, and Q is at 0-6. Q, why don't
Hey,
you lead
we're on
us
the up
off?
and up though.
Why don't you lead us off this week on lock of the week parlay here?
Yeah, it's a good idea. Do something different. Maybe get the ball rolling here. I got Clemson minus 14 at Boston College. Just gonna leave it, set it and forget it. Don't elaborate on it.
I like that Q, knowing
I
your
did too.
luck. It's not going to lose, and it's not going to win. It's going to be a push. It's going to be your first.
Oh my
It's gonna
gosh,
be your
that's
first
true.
step in the right direction because it won't lose, but it also won't hit.
If that actually happens, that's crazy.
Clayton
Oh,
called
that's tough.
the backdoor cover last week against you on your lock.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's gonna be It's gonna be like 34-17, and then Boston College is gonna kick a field goal with like 3 seconds left or something.
Here's the thing about Clayton calling that is the kid knows ball. I mean, he played college football. He's been there in the trench.
He did.
He gets the college football scene. Mike,
And-
you want to go?
Well, before I go, I just want to pick up, like, when you say he played college football, he got playing time.
Oh my gosh, dude.
He got playing time. He didn't just sit on the bench.
I quit to better my track career. I didn't quit because I wasn't playing, dude.
Well, nobody said we were talking about you.
Who are you talking about then?
I was just
There's
saying,
a
when we
lot.
say
Name.
playing,
Give me
yeah.
a name. Give me a name.
I'm just
Ted
saying.
Randall.
Yeah, okay. Read your card. Read your lock.
My lock this week, Iowa State at Colorado. Give me Iowa State minus 2.5. Felt like they got kind of embarrassed last week coming into this game with a chip on their shoulder. Crowd's going to be loud at Colorado, always is. But I think, Rocco Beck's going to get it done. Like you said earlier in the episode, Jake, they had plenty of chances to win that game, and they just didn't capitalize. So I think you'll have more of a disciplinary game here. And, love Iowa State minus 2.5.
Gentlemen, didn't hit my lock last week, sitting at 4-2 on the year. And I got to tell you, sometimes when you're coming off a loss, you just got to get back to the drawing board. You just got to go back to your bread and butter. And that, for me, is the Lane Kiffin-led Ole Miss Rebels. Washington State comes to town this weekend. Lane Kiffin is so good at just absolutely covering big spreads. It's minus 32.5. I don't fear it whatsoever. Lane Kiffin does this all the time. I love betting Lane in the non-conference, so give me the Ole Miss Rebels minus 32.5.
We're not done. I got Clayton's lock here. You're going to like it even more, Jake. You're wanting his opinion on Ohio State game. His lock is Ohio State minus 14.5 against Illinois.
Don't like that. Well, he's 42. Okay.
And he knows college ball because he played in it.
He does.
Like, what did you do after you got injured in college? Oh, that's right. You quit. You quitter. Don't ever talk to me about college sports ever again.
I wasn't ever talking to you.
Didn't Q also just state that he quitted?
I know. I said quitter.
Yeah, you quitted the football team. Your words, not mine.
I didn't say quitted. I said I quit too. I quit to better my track career. I didn't say quitted.
So you quit.
No. I just didn't go out the next season.
Yikes.
Any
Talk to
shot
me
you
when
can
you
hit
guys
a
get a
lock this
national
week,
championship
Q?
ring.
You're really
any
dragging
shot-
the
any shot you
podcast
shut
down
up?
here.
Am I?
Yeah.
Well, I can't. I can only pick a team. I can't play them. I can't play for him. I can't control what they do.
Let me tell you about Q's lock this week. It's not going to hit, nor is it going to lose.
That's the same thing.
No, a push is different. It just removes a leg.
If it pushes, I'm done.
I will say there is a rumor going around about a few listeners that are betting opposite of you and just round robining their picks.
They probably made a ton of money.
And they are
this year,
doing
huh?
pretty good on themselves. Can't confirm, can't deny. It's a rumor.
Dude,
Don't get mad at me.
our overall record is right there. Like I'm 3 games behind you, I'm 2 games behind Jake. It's just the lock. Take out the lock of the week parlay, and like I'm right there. I went 4-1 last week. What do you like? They lost money last week,
dude. Don't get mad at me.
You kind of James Franklin last week. I mean, you won the ones you should, and you lost the big one.
Okay. Maybe that's how I want it. Maybe that's how I want it. Maybe I don't want to win a lock. Maybe my card is my lock.
Right, James.
Yeah.
Got it.
Hey, Mike, what'd you go last week?
What's my record, or what did I go?
What'd you go last week?
2-3.
Yeah, talk to me when you go 4-1 in a week, bud.
I already have.
You already have.
Yeah.
Nah. Fake numbers.
Stop fake numbers, dude. Let me know when you're above 500, and then we can talk.
Okay.
And I'm just talking about your card because you will never get above 500 on your locks. That's done.
Bet. Okay, $50.
Well, you have to go 8 straight to get above 500 because there's only 14 weeks of college football.
It starts right here. Starts with Clemson.
I feel like I've
Starts
heard
with a
that
push.
before. Starts with a push.
A tush
I
push.
could get above
You're an
500
Eagles
with
fan,
a
that was
push.
joke.
No, it's not a funny joke.
Anyway, go Clones.
Yep.
Let's go Bucks.
Rock Chalk. Good luck this week, James. Later.
Go Hoosiers.